All right, everyone, we should be live. Let's make sure that's actually the case over on Rumble. Of course, the baby is upstairs, so there will probably be a lot of background noise. That's why I've got my earbuds on. I'm not listening to anything. I'm just trying not to listen to background noise. Wouldn't go live at all. There's a heat wave right now. I don't even want to have to wear a fucking shirt, but there is major news, of course, to attend to, so there's no choice involved. We'll make sure we're live on Rumble in a moment. I do see that chat is working. SaberCat666 says, morning clankers. Belle of the Bayou, good morning sticks and fellow clankers. And Ambient Lux, early is what early does. Clank. We'll be talking about all sorts of stuff. Of course, the major story of the day actually is the credible whistleblower with regards to Joe Biden taking $5 million from Burisma, allegedly. And the FBI knowing about this and doing literally nothing. That's the main news story of the day, but you're not going to see much of it on the legacy media. You're going to see more of the second story, which is that Donald Trump was indicted again by another kangaroo court process. We'll be going through that, the danger to our republic, if we can keep it at all, as well as other things attendant to that. It's a major story. By the way, pinned at the top of chat, if you're watching on YouTube, and also cross-platform in the description, there's actually my edition of 1900, The Last President, that I've decided to link. Instead of my gun control work, where I try to instruct the militia, I decided to do that one. It's effectively a predictive work by Ingersoll, and talks about the last president of the United States and the socio-political atmosphere that's happening at that time. It is eerily similar to what's going on right now. By the way, the Secretary of State, his surname is Pence in that particular work. So we'll see what happens. But there's some predictive, allegedly time-traveling occultism going on. So you can get a copy of that. I do appreciate a rating. Of course, there are about 20 fucking competing editions at this point. But mine is professionally edited. Some of the others look like archive.org scans that they just put a new cover on. So you get what you pay for. Just keep that in mind. We'll also be talking about UFOs as the distraction that they are from news stories, such as the main ones that we will be covering today. I see some super chats. Literally me. Sorry to keep you waiting, folks. Complicated business. Yes. Mothbass1 sent $9.99. No comment. Thank you very much. By the way, if I look a little bit greasy and sweaty right now, it is the middle of a heat wave. Don't worry, I'll be showering later. Probably a cool shower. Torchwood Gal, you are my AM news. Cheers from Nashville. Thank you very much. I hope that you enjoy. So yeah, we'll be talking about some crazy shit going on right now. Bitty Beastly, bro, found your channel. Listened to a random live yesterday. You mentioned Patriot Front being feds. Is there a way to DM you? Will you read it if I do? You can DM me on Twitter, and I will see it. I can't respond to every news bit that I get because I get 30, 40 of them every single day, but I do read them all, and I'll try to respond if I see that it's you. Darun Albane, how can you fit 100 mathematicians into a room that fits 99? Carry the one. Dad joke for you. Ha 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 ha. So yeah, we'll get right off on the main news. Nothing to see here, but a credible whistleblower accusing the president of bribery. Yes, and it's coincidental, by the way, that this happens at the same time as the Trump indictment. It's a total coincidence, the timing involved. There isn't a journalist in the world who wouldn't want to see an informant's account of a president taking a bribe. Therein lies the problem. The president of the United States, well, Stewart, he's not legitimately elected. We're allowed to say that now on YouTube, by the way. Has been accused by a credible FBI informant of allegedly taking $5 million in a bribery scheme with a foreign national while he was the sitting vice president. That seems like a pretty big story, but what do I know? Apparently, there's a document laying out the accusation. Now, I'm just going to go off the rails here. We know what's in the document. It's been summarized by Comer. It's been more summarized by Marjorie Taylor Greene, actually. I liked how some of the leftoids this morning, they were jumping down her throat. And said, because she said, well, I took notes. I was reading this document, so, here's the skinny on it. Well, you're not supposed to take notes. You're only supposed to look at it. How dare you take, a piece of paper in and scribble down a couple of observations, supposedly, on what you saw. The document alleges, credibly, again, this is a high-paid FBI official unnamed, according to this, and it seems to be legit, claiming that Joe Biden did indeed receive money from Hunter's business dealings. That would be illegal, highly illegal. It would be a major scandal. Will you see any closure on this? Probably not, because the legacy media and Intel don't want to look into it further. Apparently, the case is, by the way, still open on multiple levels, but they still don't want to look into it too deeply. That's because they might discover, oh, right, the dude who's currently in the White House shouldn't be in the White House. Well, that leaves us an interesting conundrum. Do we end up with Kamala Harris, or do we end up re-electing evil orange man and he breaks all the toys? That's why they don't want to look into it too far. They would rather have boring, senile Biden there because he's easily controlled. All the puppet masters that run things anyway can just make him do whatever they want to do, and then they call it a day. That's basically our government at the moment in the United States. It's not a real government. It's an illegitimate one. There is no legal legitimacy to it because the person who supposedly calls the shots executively is not in charge. The people who are calling the shots aren't elected by and large. So anyway, as far as Marjorie Taylor Greene, I have my reservations about her, but she has summarized the document in fair detail. You do have a bribery scheme here. It appears to be credible. It is being covered up actively by the FBI. Oh, this document's not even classified. So the fact that it's not available to Congress at large and hasn't been publicly released is slightly odd, actually. Well, it's not odd when you consider actually, the state of the current U.S. government, but it would be odd under normal circumstances, at least. Let's see. The Ahagal faces. I want a Styx Fumo plush like the Tahao ones. Orchid Finance. If de Romney was serious, he'd drop out to support Trump. Instead, he's acting like a naive fool. I did find it funny. Ron DeSantis came out. We'll be talking about AI ads towards the end of this live stream, by the way. He came out and he castigated the federal so-called justice system for dragging Trump. And compared it to, of course, Hillary Clinton and others, and people who have skated on similar things or even worse things throughout time. But then, in the end of his tweet, of his pitch to people, he unwisely decided to make it about him. Well, under a DeSantis administration, this won't happen anymore. That was not a good look. It's just another strategic mistake by the DeSantis campaign, easily avoidable. All you had to do was express sympathy for a currently private citizen who's being railroaded by the legal system. You could have done that. It already is a campaign pitch just by talking about it. And instead, you decided to insert yourself into it. I think that was a bad idea. It's not unforgivable like HB 269, but it is definitely a mistake by him. By the way, Donald Trump probably will rise in the polls as the result of getting indicted again. We'll be talking about that momentarily. Big boy, our republic is in complete disarray. Not complete, but partial disarray. The legal system is definitely iffy right now. It's on shaky ground. Mr. Willie 2204, needing some daily clank today to help me put this unprecedented political move by the Uniparty in perspective. We are in uncharted territory. Yes, we are. 250 years of legal precedent was thrown out the window several months ago, and now they're throwing it out again, so... Mupti, how about a Styx as his cat plush? There will be no plushies from this channel. Eric writes, sometimes when I have a quiet moment, I tend to wonder if that guy really did accidentally the whole Coke bottle. Skate Betty, how do you make a dad joke? The real question is, how do you make him snap? I DM'd you, Ari Uroboros tie-dye. That's about all. Yes, I saw that message. I didn't get a chance to respond. I'll have to look into that later. Thank you. So, yeah, the first news story of the day is that Joe Biden has been caught out credibly as having taken a bribe while then VP. He should be, removed from office for this. There is a move towards impeachment. We'll see if the uniparty Republicans have the balls to do so. Certainly the MAGA Republicans do. We'll see what happens with that. I'm 50-50 on whether they even bother to proceed past committee. That being said, he broke the law. We know this. We know it from Hunter Biden's laptop revelations. We know that Joe Biden lied to the American people. There was never a Russian disinfo campaign. He was covered for, by the way, by the FBI on that, but totally they're not covering for him now. No intel agency is trying to protect Joe Biden the way that they did in the 2020 election. That's real fucking believable. Red Raider Matthias, thanks for the clanks for the clank god, coffee for the coffee throne, Warhammer 40k jokes aside, kind of amazed there aren't riots over the indictment. That's because Trump's fans tend towards being lawful. They are not leftists. Big boy, Trump can send the establishment into complete panic mode by tweeting out just one word, kofefe. Yeah, I mean, contracts aside, he really needs to get back on Twitter, both to defend himself and to stir up trouble. And that's the main news of the day. While the Burisma story is more legally meaningful, the fact that the so-called president currently sitting on his miniaturized throne, the little chair at the little desk, despite the fact that he took a $5 million bribe from Burisma, and it is true, he definitely did that. Among other crimes, we have plenty of circumstantial evidence of this. It's just not being looked into by the legacy media, the FBI, etc. The main news of the day as far as public opinion is that Donald Trump was once again indicted by the kangaroo court system, the so-called justice system of the United States. I find it funny, liberals now simping for the DOJ, saying, well, the grand jury was totally independent. Nobody could have possibly leaned on them. They were never propagandized to for the last half decade about Orange Man or anything like that. They were totally independent, and they found that there was reason to indict him on 7 counts, including the Espionage Act. Oh my God, espionage. And by the way, what a loaded term, because it has nothing to do with espionage most of the time. Here's the point. This is the way I'll explain it. I know that the system is corrupt. I know that most federal politicians are corrupt. I can see it in their actions. I can see it in their words. I see it every day. I'm old enough now to have seen the corruption of the federal government. I know that bureaucrats are corrupt. They overextend their powers. Some of them are carpetbaggers. I know this. I've observed it, like with FEMA under George W. Bush after Katrina. I know this. I know that the legacy media is corrupt. Oliver Darcy came out a year ago and openly avowed to the American people, yeah, we're taking emails and shit from the White House on economic news to try to spin it. We know that they're corrupt. We know that banks are corrupt. I mean, is there any question in your mind that the people who run the banks in the United States aren't corrupt? After the latest round of failures, I think even liberals are amenable to that concept. We know that corporations are corrupt. They're from top to bottom. They can ESG it up and put on the pride flag on Twitter all they want. We know that they sell products that are subpar. They sell products that are bullshit. They sell poison to people. Look at the cigarette companies back in the day. Look at Budweiser and other alcohol firms now. We know that all of these people are corrupt. They are moneyed. They are rich. They are powerful. They rub elbows with one another. They form a giant club of tens of thousands of individuals that you and I aren't part of, and they are corrupt. We know this. We can see it in their actions. These corrupt individuals that I know are corrupt, that I know are power mad, want me to think that Donald Trump is corrupt and power mad, uniquely to the point where he needs to be taken down a peg. He needs to be shoved aside because he's a danger to the democracy that I supposedly live under. I believe rather that those corrupt powers are still corrupt and that they did not magically get together one day in a council meeting and say, look, you know, I know that we've done some terrible things. We've killed people overseas. We've poisoned people domestically. We've frittered away liberty. We've done all manner of terrible and corrupt things. But we need to defend our republic now. All of a sudden, according to the mainline liberal orthodoxy, this is their line. I'm supposed to believe that all the bankers and bureaucrats and politicians and legacy media goofballs and all of these other people got together because Donald Trump was uniquely corrupt, uniquely evil and incompetent and everything bad in the world to try to stop him on my behalf. But I don't believe that. I think it's more likely they're still corrupt and they're simply afraid of and angry at him. He's the one breaking the toys. He's not the corrupt one. They're the corrupt ones. Now, we will point something out, of course. I am a Trump fan. I'll be supporting him. It's now effectively a guarantee. There's no way that I'm not going to support someone who has this much ire from the corrupt system. We also have to point out Donald Trump is corrupt, but it's not for the reasons that he's being currently indicted. He's not corrupt because he decided to take declassified documents home with him. It's legal for him to do so. This case is bullshit. The indictment is bullshit. They're just throwing the wall at him any way that they can to try to drag him off the campaign trail. If that doesn't work, if he's nominated anyway, look for even more goddamn propaganda thereafter. He's not corrupt because of election interference, a la the Georgia case. He's not corrupt because of the misdemeanor charges artificially upgraded to felonies in New York, a la Alvin Bragg. These aren't the reasons he's corrupt. I would be hesitant to guess that he hasn't engaged in corrupt business practices before, though. But he's not corrupt for the reasons he's being investigated, which are meaningless by and large, including this new federal case, which is literally propagandistic bullshit. And I would note Donald Trump has correctly pointed something out fairly recently. There is a dual legal system within the United States, and liberals goddamn know it. They talk about this. They're willing to admit that there's a dual legal system when they say, hey, here's this black person who got stopped for going 5 miles an hour over the speed limit, or they ran a stop sign, and then the cops planted crack in their car, but Whitey over there didn't go to jail. You are correct, sir. Absolutely, there's differential enforcement. And what does that differential enforcement boil down to? Normally, socioeconomics. Donald Trump was one of the club for a very long time. Billionaire, investor, businessman, celebrity. All these people loved him until he ran for office. I'm supposed to believe that all of these people missed all of the elements of corruption that Trump supposedly engages in until the very moment he decided to seriously run for office. They were oblivious before. He completely snookered them. They had absolutely no clue. The second that he was the president of the United States, of course, things were different. And then they all of a sudden got together, these other corrupt individuals that I know are fucking corrupt. Don't fucking bother trying to fool me. I know it because I've seen their actions for years and years now. I'm old enough to understand that these people are corrupt. All of a sudden, though, the corruption was just too much. They love to money grub, throw people under the bus. They engage in all sorts of weird palace intrigue. They stab each other in the backs. They have affairs and do drugs and all these other things. All of a sudden, they decided to put down the coke and put down the groupies and put down the Benji Green stacks and all of these things and said that they solemnly bowed before Lady Liberty, and a single eagle flew overhead crying all over them, and it washed their sins away, and they said, we are guardians of the Republic. I don't believe that. I will never believe that. This is the premier kangaroo court moment that we've ever seen. Now, here's my suggestion. We nominate Donald Trump. We literally flip them off and tell them, fuck you. I don't care. Of course, Donald Trump's got his own fucking problems. He cheated on his wives, cheats on his girlfriends with other girlfriends. He's done crazy shit. He was a magnate in the 1980s. You think that fucking confuses me? Of course he's corrupt. But he's not as corrupt as you. He's not uniquely corrupt, and you're destroying our civic structure in order to go after the relatively limited element of corruption that is in Donald Trump by using a roundabout that has nothing to do with anything that he even did wrong in the first place. That's the truth. We nominate Donald Trump, give the finger to the uniparty system. Then we look and see what the Republicans do. Do they accept it? And they go and probably trash his campaign from the inside. McConnell and McDaniels and all these other weirdos will do that. We let them collapse. Let the Republicans fucking die out. I don't even care at this point. If you're so cowardly and so stuck on 80s and 90s boomerist conservatism in name only, you probably should die out as a party. You'll be replaced. Don't worry, it won't become a uniparty system any more than it is now anyway. I don't care if the Democrats have a supermajority. They already do. The Dem neo-libs and the Republican neocons already form a supermajority in Congress. What the fuck do I care? So I say nominate Donald Trump. Put him forth. Whether he wins or loses is completely immaterial from that point on. Let the goddamn Republicans do anything under the sun that is corrupt to try to stop him from winning. They will collapse as a political party. And then you'll see their real colors. A lot of them will become Democrats to save their own skin. And it would be funny, and it'd be a revelational moment for the American people. I will support Trump. I will vote for him in the primaries. I will vote for him in the general election. If he's precluded from running by an act of Congress, I will write him in. I am 100% on Trump because I know when that many provably corrupt people fucking hate you, when all of the banks, all of the corporations, most of the federal government, every bureaucrat, the entire legacy media, including Fox, the controlled op network, by the way, I was correct about that, a la Tucker Carlson, who they're threatening to sue at the moment. I wonder why. When all of those people fucking hate you, you're not wrong. You're right. They're wrong. They didn't suddenly grow a spine or a soul or anything like that, and believing that they did is goddamn fucking hilarious. So yeah, like here from the Krasensees, oh yeah, the people at Walmart, they do child slave labor and undercut wages and tell people not to unionize. And we've spent the last 30 years castigating them, but they're the good guys now. See, they have the pride flag on Twitter. That's number one. And number two, they denounce Donald Trump. That's all that's important. Go along with ESG and worship at the altar of Orange Man Bad, and all of your sins are forgiven. You can enslave people. Literal slavery. Think about it. Put yourself in the shoes of some 12-year-old working in a sweatshop in China. Some kid that works 10-hour shifts 6 days a week for sub-minimum wage. All the corporations that cause that to happen hate Donald Trump. The banks, when they go under, they give golden parachutes to the CEO and CFO and people like that, and Congress helps them do that while screwing all the investors. Who do they hate? Orange Man. All the bureaucrats and the bloated bureaucratic agencies that constantly overstep their constitutional authority to the point where the Trump-appointed Supreme Court, by and large, had to smack them down fairly recently. Who do they hate? Orange Man. It's amazing, all of these coincidences lining up. Every single person that for my entire adult life I've known has been evil, has been corrupt, and has been malfeasant in promulgating anything associated with liberty and justice and civics. Every single one of them has one thing in common. They all hate Donald Trump. Wow, that's very interesting. But I'm supposed to believe that he's the one that's nuts. He's the one that's evil. I don't fucking think so. I don't believe it at all. And I think I'm preaching to the choir probably with my own core audience, but clip the rant out, send it to somebody else. Maybe it'll get through their thick skulls. That's what we need to do. I'm supporting Trump, and I encourage all of you to do it. I'm not going to go with Trump-light DeSantis. And I'm not going to, if the Republicans try to force somebody else down our throats, I'm not going to vote for them. I'm not going to vote for fucking Asa Hutchinson. What? I might as well go back in time and vote for Jeb Bush. Nikki Haley, Mike Pence, a bunch of warmongers, Chris Christie, fat ass, like I'm going to vote for him. Not going to happen, dude. There is nobody else in the field. The closest you get is Vivek Ramaswamy. He's completely unelectable. He's got no experience, and not in the good way like Donald Trump. It's not going to happen. Eric writes, need your advice. Last night, I'm pretty sure my computer became either self-aware or possessed, and now it keeps trying to. And I think there's probably a follow-up there, but there's other chats. Manuel Wintrago, longtime listener, first-time caller. Great show. Here is $5. Always wanted to say that. Thank you very much. I enjoy money. BW, hear about the SCOTUS ruling on Alabama? Figures that they overturned Roe when all we needed was a 15-week limit, but we need something in our right-wing court rules against it. Where effed. That is a specifically limited case decision. It has to do with a specific instance of gerrymandering. It doesn't carry over or create precedent for other cases. So it's limited. I agree with the decision. If you look at that map, it is kind of lopsided now, admittedly speaking, now, isn't it? King of Biltong, good morning from Antons in Roanoke, Texas. Hashtag Clank Nation. Get your fucking Biltong. McAdams, did you know where the kangaroo court analogy comes from? No, I don't. Probably from Australia, though, I would assume. Probably from an unfair court in Australia. Peyton Walter, you're awesome, dude. Thank you for the $200 donation. I appreciate that. That's a lot of diapers. It really does help, by the way, when people do send fucking super chats. You know, bills mount up. Diapers all the time. Baby food. Gotta get cleaning shit because the cat keeps pissing everywhere. That's probably the biggest expense in my life. By the way, the goddamn cost of cat food, holy shit. God, having a cat's more expensive than having a kid at this moment. I suggest that you wait on getting a cat if you're in the Netherlands. Rockstar Podcast sent 99 cents, but without a comment. You know, you can leave a comment for that price. The Southern V, been a while, Sticks. Been sick for a minute, but getting better. Had a virus infection that was attacking my muscles and kidneys. Ooh, that sounds no good. But been watching your videos. One of the only things that keeps me up. Well, I'm glad that you enjoy the show. Good luck on your recovery. Get some turmeric up in you, boy. Apache, it feels like this will be the last peaceful summer before things get wild. The old guard is collapsing and a new age will be born from the chaos. That's the hope, anyway. I hope to collapse the old ideology. The neocons, just shut the fuck up. Why don't you people just age out, go out to pasture, stop voting because your vote is bullshit. You keep re-electing morons like Mitt Romney. Just go the fuck away, please. Leave us alone. And we can have a country again as opposed to a subsidiary of the world globalist corporation. Mind of a Madman 69. I got your gun debate book and I love the price as well. I'm getting it on Sunday. I hope you enjoy the work. Mopey Hornet. Hey, Stick, since you said there isn't aliens from last stream, what are demons? We'll be talking about aliens in a moment. Demons, of course. I've had my own experiences, specifically with Stolas, the owl demon, immortalized now in Hell of a Boss, does actually exist. That's not a joke. But we'll talk about aliens in a moment. BW, I feel like Trump kicked over a rock and wasn't ready for the roaches he stirred up, much as I love him. Yeah, so we need to help him stomp on the roaches now, don't we? There's a lot of us. Anissa, what do you want to be Trump's VP? Michael Flynn rings a bell. Carrie Lake is fine. Well, there are some others. Spider Eternal. Will Sleazy be making a return as co-host? Clank, yes, the plan actively is for the 2024 election and probably before that. But I'm not on the proper time zone right now to really sync up with Sleazy right now, unfortunately. So everything's on hold. I've bounced dozens of debate offers and more than dozens of appearance offers, actually, over the last year. Who's your daddy? You're on fire today, and I totally agree. I'm on fire? Oh, shit. Yeah. Oh, thank goodness. It's just a figure of speech. Michael Cricklow, Sticks. I just read that one. Wait, no. You said the same thing as Who's Your Daddy? Michael Cricklow, Sticks are on fire this morning. Keep going. And then the fire emoji. You confused me there, guys, for a minute. Don't do that again. Aquafan, why don't politicians grow big beards anymore? I know it's superficial, but I feel that beards are a symbol of strength and a connection with the natural. Mountain Man, Trump should grow out a beard. Who says he can grow a proper beard? Some people have a deficiency in that department. I myself, of course, do not. The aristocratic utensil. Saw you in a comment section. Hope you thought the analysis was fair, mate. Hope all is well. Yes, actually, I had your video on mute. I was responding to a comment that was there. I will be watching it later, though. So I thank you. All attention is good attention. And I'm sure your analysis is perfectly fine. You seem like an intelligent person. John Ashley Smith, you can't vote your way out of tyranny. Carry on. Well, I mean, the alternative is you go to prison, probably. So we won't be talking about the other side of reactions to tyranny at this time. CJ Grazioso. Hey, Sticks, watching live for the first time in months from the hellhole of Massachusetts. Need to get out of here and move to New Hampshire. LMAO. New Hampshire is pretty cool. The Happy Plague Doctor. Sticks, you're on fire this morning. Oh, God, is that going to become a new meme? Probably. Oh, we get a bunch on Rumble. Null Hypothesis. I'd like to see a reboot of the TV show Family Guy starring you and the family struggling to launch a live stream every morning. Please gain some weight. I'm going to be making some nice spicy Indian food later to really get sweating to beat this heat, actually. Swamp Donkey 69420. What good is the Burisma stuff anyways? The courts no longer matter anyway. Also, the right needs to do more protesting. Yes, protests and boycotts. Get to it. And then also, I hope Trump goes to jail. Give him the Lenin and Mandela effect. The more they do, the more popular he is and his ideas become. Yeah, if they put him in a jail cell, he probably does win the general election anyway. And then they're going to have a real constitutional goddamn crisis. The Grizzly 617. I was watching Razor last week, and he was talking about the U.S. citizens running out of the ability to redress grievances. What are your thoughts? Yes, we are getting close to the edge, but we are not over the edge yet. There is still time and there is still hope. Let's hope that it involves peaceful things as opposed to other things. Dagnabbit32, shout out to my son's YouTube channel, Wolf Night. Watch it if you're into creepypasta. Interesting. I like creepypasta. And a follow-up, been trying to find a MAGA phone bank, having trouble. Do any clankers know of any? Someone can help him over on Rumble. A MAGA phone bank. Well, I hate phones, so you're asking the wrong person with me. Ronan361. First donation to Clankdom. No one likes the persecution of what now seems to be an innocent man. Trump. Well, he is innocent. I dare to say absolutely no one likes elitist corruption. Well, some people do. No, everyone likes elitist corruption if they're a partisan anyway. if the other party is the one currently being persecuted by the elitists. I happen not to be partisan. I do not suffer from that particular psychological defect. Bitty Beastly, let me get your opinion on two things. First, the Declaration of Independence circa 1776. And there's no follow-up here. I'm assuming that you're writing it now. I think the Declaration of Independence is pretty cool. And I'd like to declare independence from the current fucking stewardship. Pamela Mel, bravo on Trump. Ditto. Yes, I will be supporting Donald Trump wholeheartedly and full-throatedly. There is no alternative. If we don't re-elect Trump or at least nominate him and have him put up a good fight, basically just fucking bury your heads in the sand. We might as well just go and piss down our own leg. When we see this kind of abuse, we have to do something about it. The best thing to do right now, harvest ballots, knock on doors, tell people this is a load of fucking horseshit, fight back against censorship using new tech, and fucking vote for Donald Trump. That's what we can do right now. We still have the ability to peacefully address our grievances in the United States. That should not be lost as an opportunity. And then the follow-up from Bitty Beastly, second opinion, the Naturalization Act of 1790. Yes, I believe that was the one where only people who were Caucasian were able to be naturalized in the United States under general circumstances. That's been expanded as of the immigration reforms of the 1960s, and so it's now defunct. Personally, I would say, for the most part, other than a few circumstances, you don't really need immigration at all anymore in the United States. This is not the 1800s. There's no Homestead Act. There's not a lot of free open land left. We should be, instead of subdividing it over and over and giving people smaller parcels, we should be locking in land size as much as possible so that the people in the country can enjoy having a decent amount of land, can like enjoy some nature and have their own place and their own space. Seth and Wolf, the truth is out there. Metallica, we're off to Netherlands, just like Styx. Apache, did you see Newsom's 28th Amendment? Yeah, but it's not even worth talking about because it's defunct. It's DOA as a proposal. Now, the 28th Amendment, for those that aren't aware, Gavin Newsom, governor of California, wants an amendment to tamper with the Second Amendment. Now, it's not clear that you could pass an amendment that actually conflicts with another one without a constitutional crisis. So there's problem one. Problem two, you need a supermajority in Congress and the consent of the states to pass it, and you don't have anything close to that. So it's just an anti-gun proposal. But he's in California, so the people there agree with him. So, it's good for him politically. Pious Devil. Sticks MFing preaching. Lapse of apathy. Recently, I got into horror films, starting with The Shining, and learned that the scariest thing is not about the monsters outside, but the ones we face within. Good psychology. Adherent of Lady Columbia, I have a sneaking suspicion this will be a very drawn-out federal case. In many ways, I wonder if this will be a way to keep people on edge. That's a possibility. We're looking at least a year, probably, until there's a date for Trump's appearance in court. So it's kind of a non-issue. Sergey.com, Sticks, you're on fire this morning. Trump or bust, baby. And Bitty Beastly, based. Bless you. Achoo. Thank you. Next news story. I just wanted to point out that there are no aliens in the freezer. I know that you've probably seen quite a bit about this latest story. We've got an ex-official from within the, CIA or U.S. military or some shit, who says that the United States has a downed alien craft. They have literal aliens in the freezer. That's funny. I remember reading that in the 90s from Weekly World News and the Inquirer. It's funny because I remember hearing about tales of such things from the fucking 50s and 60s and 70s, a whole slew of movies about it at the time. I would note that UFO sightings dramatically increase around the time that people started making dirigibles and experimental aircraft of that kind. I wonder if there's a coincidence or a connection involved with this. Here's my belief with regards to aliens. There is life on other planets. It's probably quite profuse. There is definitely life in the Milky Way, let alone probably within this general region. There's life. So most of it's bacterial. Some of it's more advanced. So something that has tissue differentiation. Some of it's more advanced, like something like a rodent or a cat or a scorpion. And some of it is intelligent, at least as intelligent as archaic Homo sapiens, Neanderthalensis, etc. Some of it's more advanced than us. It is out there. It is a mathematical guarantee, given the number of galaxies that we can just observe in this region of the universe, there is clearly life out there. It would be mathematically impossible if it can arise through any inorganic process to begin with, as it did on our planet, supposedly. It's impossible that it does not exist elsewhere. I can guarantee you that there are aliens out there. There are presumptively interstellar alien species out there. Do they give a goddamn about our backwater piece of shit chunk of the Milky Way? No, they don't give a fucking shit about us. If they got anywhere near the planet, they'd be well warned to stay away because we're nuts. We're a bunch of crazy monkeys with nuclear weapons, number one. We've got a highly oxidizing atmosphere. We got pollen and bacteria and viruses and crazy shit floating around in the atmosphere. We probably have a death shroud planet right now that no other alien race would ever be crazy enough to try to penetrate. If they're aware of us at all, it's from a distance. They're not interacting with us. No, there are no downed alien craft. There are bizarre things flying through the air on a regular basis. We've seen footage of this, usually in 240p, by the way. Those aren't space aliens. Those are drones, experimental aircraft, unknown physical phenomena. Ball lightning comes to mind. We haven't 100% quantified it, although I've given my own thoughts about it before. Our planet is not necessarily habitable to other species. And what the fuck would they want here? If they want gold or they want water or something, there are a million other planets for them to get it that aren't inhabited. So there's no reason why they would come to the planet Earth. When I see this sort of thing, the whistleblower, David Charles Grush, 36. So he's about my age, by the way, keeping that in mind. A decorated former combat officer in Afghanistan claims that he fucked an alien in the ass. Well, maybe you did, an illegal alien, but it wasn't from space. It doesn't exist. There are no space aliens visiting Earth. I hate to burst people's bubble. I would love it if that were the case. If I thought for a moment that it was even plausible, I would strongly and full-throatedly endorse the idea because I would want aliens to be here. Oh my God, I'm going to get to shake hands with this weird creature from another planet. Maybe it'll take me away from this hell pit that is Earth. But that's not reality. It's escapism. It's the stuff of sci-fi. They're out there. There may be species that are aware generally that there's life here on Earth. They would have been monitoring our radio signals, et cetera, like we try to monitor outer space. That's possible. They may or may not physically be capable of getting here. And if they did, if they're that advanced, we're a backwater. We're an ape-like species living in a slum planet. We're definitely not on Main Street, is what I'm saying. David Mink, hey Sticks, love the vids of you and Liz discussing your parenting experiences. Thank you very much. Atomic Nightlight, Jojo from Jers is excited about Trump's indictment. Should we troll? Yeah, absolutely. I didn't tell you to raid though. Free men die free. My prediction is they'll drag this case out till after the election, then drop the case. They want to rig the election without making him a martyr. Mass exodus to the LP if the GOP doesn't step up. Yeah, definitely. Rockstar Podcast, are human beings the most advanced in the universe? No, absolutely not. If we are capable of advancing along a linear technological line, then there is some other species out there in that vast, vast corpus of space that's well beyond us. Ashley, the only aliens in freezers are the ones working in border state warehouses. Yeah, exactly. As far as this planet goes, I am absolutely certain that there's life out there, including life that's more advanced than us, again, that could be aware of our existence. But I'm trying to think of why they would bother to visit a potentially dangerous, hazardous planet full of warlike apes for no reason. If they were going to observe us, they would do it from afar. They would cloak themselves, if possible, so that we didn't know that they were there. Seth and Wolf, cue the X-Files opening song. Yeah. The Happy Plague Doctor. Aliens don't like Earth because we got demons and shit. Yeah. Humans are the demons. When we talk about Satan, the devil or something, that's part of human nature. It's just the negative side of human tendencies. You don't need a devil to understand that there's bad in the world. Red Raider Matthias. Damn, I wish aliens were real. They are. I wanted a JRE podcast episode where Joe Rogan, Elon Musk, and Alex Jones get to smoke with these beings. Yeah, I suppose that using DMT is going to be the closest you get to talking to aliens. Maybe they're telepathic. Maybe you are actually talking to them across the vast void of space, but they're not physically coming here. They do exist, though. It is a guarantee. Mathematically speaking, it's actually an impossibility that there is an intelligent life out there in the universe. Genghis Khan, we don't want three-titted aliens in bikinis with machine guns. Well, I mean, we do, but they're just not here on Earth. BW, plot twist, our leaders are the aliens, hence plot for global slavery. Yeah, the New World Order's coming. Mavius Mar, on fire. Yes, that's become the new meme. As long as you're paying me, I'll read it out. Sparky, Tucker is accused of anti-Semitism because he criticizes Zelensky, but contrary to popular belief, Zelensky isn't Jewish because his mother wasn't. Yes, genetically to be Jewish, as far as the puristic lineage goes, your mother has to be a Jew. I would point out that a person can adopt Judaism regardless of their situation of birth. Swamp Donkey, I am worried we are fast approaching something bad. Based on the history of the U.S., 1830 to 1860, Yugoslavia, Austro-Hungarian Empire, and South Africa. Unfortunately, you may end up being right. I still hold out hope that there's a peaceful solution to our obvious dysfunctionalities at the moment. Next news story. We're going to go fairly quick through these next four because nobody wants to talk about anything that isn't Donald Trump getting indicted, Burisma and Joe Biden, or fucking space aliens. Well, you can fuck space aliens if you want to, as long as you use enough ketamine. Christie on Trump. Turns out I was wrong. I have never seen a more dumbass launch of a political campaign, and I've been around for long enough. I've seen a lot of political campaigns, not all recent ones. I date back to the Clinton administration as far as my general awareness of what was going on. I have literally never seen a person start off a presidential or any other political campaign by saying that they have poor judgment. That's basically what Chris Christie's doing, isn't it? Well, I was wrong about Donald Trump. Yeah, I stood on stage with him. I was his advisor. I really wanted a cabinet position, although I didn't say it publicly at the time, but I was wrong about him. Yes, of course, Chris, you were wrong. You thought that the fact that you endorsed him meant that because he got the endorsement of such a powerful and important figure from New Jersey politics, he was going to make you Secretary of State or something. That's what he's salty about. Former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie said Wednesday he was wrong about former President Donald Trump, cry me a river, whom he twice supported and advised ahead of the 2020 election. Turns out I was wrong. I couldn't make him a better candidate. I couldn't make him a better president. He eats donut loudly, and he disappointed me. He disappointed you, Christie? Who gives a fucking goddamn shit? He told CNN's Jake Tapper to an audience of 10 people, of course, on the lead, calling election night 2020 the breaking point. Now, the breaking point was the last donut you scarfed down is the one that put enough platelets into that clot to give you your next thrombosis. That's the breaking point. Christie, who announced his 24 campaign on Tuesday, is putting attacks on the former president, currently the frontrunner for the GOP nomination, at the center of his campaign. Oh boy, that aged well. You attack the man after having worked with him, and 24 hours later, the deep state decided to indict him on another kangaroo court charge, ensuring that he becomes the nominee in the process. Unless the GOP decides to try to block his nomination entirely by disqualifying him, which probably would result in a successful Trump write-in campaign being second place in the presidential election and the ignominious fall of the GOP out of all existence. There are worse things that could happen than the GOP stopping existing. You're so fucking goddamn dysfunctional and cowardly and retarded at this point. Why do we even have a GOP? The MAGA side of the GOP makes sense. The libertarian edge of the GOP, like a Rand Paul or a Massey, they make sense. That's a minority within the party. It's like looking at the Democrats. Most of them are a bunch of war-happy neoliberal hawks. They want welfare, but for corporations mainly. It's basically the same as a John McCain or a Mitt Romney Republican. What the hell is the difference? Why are you even bothering to vote in an election like that? Give me Trump, I'll vote for him. Don't give me Trump, I'll vote for him anyway. That's basically the warning to the GOP from literally millions of people. You cannot win a national election if you've pissed off the Trump fans. There aren't enough mainline Republicans to prop you up. You'd lose you would lose Wyoming. You'd definitely lose Texas. You'd lose most of the Deep South. Florida would be going bye-bye. It'd be a Democratic clean sweep. It would be worse than Nixon's re-election bid where he won everything but Massachusetts and D.C. Joe Biden, in the absence of Trump being the nominee at this point with this much abuse, he might win those. Well, he would definitely win those. He might win literally every state. 100% of the delegates, 100% of the vote goes to Joe Biden in the absence of Donald Trump. That'd be my prediction, by the way. You think DeSantis is ready for prime time? I point you to his mistake the other day when he was talking about the Trump earlier when he was talking about the Trump indictment. What was his response? Well, I condemn this. Federal government's gone too far. Prosecutorial assistance bullshit. By the way, vote for me and I'll stop it from happening. Yeah, that sounds like a serious candidate. Okay. Adherent of Lady Columbia, there is suspicions that humans might be one of the oldest advanced life forms. Be funny if we go out there and the wise, ancient, and advanced alien. Yeah, it'd be funny, but it's not true. There are definitely other life forms that evolved before us and plenty that are evolving now. Given the scope of the universe, every day there's probably a new intelligent species minted. And that would still be a drop in the bucket as far as habitable planets go. Samantha Winter, do you think we have that we make it past global tyranny and leftism? Are we approaching the end of wokeism? I hope so. I'm going to do everything that I can in my power to inform people about things, and that's the best that I can do. Bitty Beastly, science is magic, for good or evil, that aliens are demons and angels. It's just a change of vernacular. Science kills God. I disagree. I've had otherworldly experiences that go well beyond the realm of anything science can explain that I know myself anecdotally to be real. I don't ask you to believe that, but I've had those experiences. Aliens are just flesh and blood beings that happen to have evolved on a different planet, so they might look different. By the way, I suspect that a lot of them are bipedal, have opposing thumbs or similar digits, and have an advanced craniology similar to the human head. I believe that actually a lot of the depictions of aliens, like from Babylon 5, because they're actors that are dressed up, they all look kind of humanish. I think that's probably the reality because evolution will tend to favor it. Just like evolution favors a species eventually developing things like wings or tentacles or something like that, you'll see a lot of overlap between the sort of things you see in life forms on Earth and the things you see in life forms on sufficiently advanced planets that are Earth-like. Scarfy the Strange. Chris Christie is a disappointment to his trainer. Yeah, Jesus. Disappointment is an understatement. Bitty Beastly. So every genetic offspring has DNA from the mother and the father, but ethnic Jews are excluded from this if only the right parent is Jewish. Yes, your mother has to be Jewish in order for it to be an automatic lineage, according to some ideas within Judaism. Depends on the group. Steely Fan 77. Please convince me that Trump's I Kept My Promise To video is not grounds for not voting for him. Thank you. I haven't seen that video yet. I'll have to take a look at it. But I will definitely be voting for him. If you choose not to, that's your choice. Vote for whoever you want to. Vote for Mickey Mouse. Michael Cricklow, will the 12 Oregon counties succeed successfully? No, they are incapable of seceding from the state of Oregon because they would need the recognition of the state of Oregon. And they simply don't have the legislative support. Be better to just disband them, turn Oregon back into a territory and get rid of its capability of self-governance. Rockstar Podcast, are dolphins smarter than humans? No, because if they were, they'd be putting us in cans and eating us. Dolphins, they can't even make fire. What a bunch of fucking morons. Sparky, unlike Christianity, a person can't convert to Judaism by saying that they did. They need to go through a drawn-out complex process like Madonna and Sammy Davis Jr. Yes, conversion to Judaism in the official sense is a drawn-out process. By the way, the Jews do not convert seek. They actually attempt to convince you not to become a Jew. Kind of an interesting religion in that sense. Drennan, thanks for all the fish. Next news story. Well, yeah, fuck that one. I don't even need to talk. Well, I'll talk about it briefly. Biden administration under fire for Iran nuke and hostage deal that could net the regime billions. Yes, to be clear right now, just in passing, Joe Biden is considering sending $17 billion to Iran in order to get 3 hostages released. Wow, I wish that I was worth that much to Joe Biden. Anyway, we'll go right past that because nobody gives a fucking shit. Again, it's Trump, it's Burisma with Biden, or it's space aliens right now. That's the entire news cycle. Space aliens make up a good third of it because it's being astroturfed by the legacy media as though it was relevant. Wookie Gremlin, morning, Sticks. Good morning, Wookie. Toxic Mix, I'm sure it's totally just a coincidence that every last fence sitter with a fraction of viability got in the primary within weeks of another indictment coming down. Nothing to see here. I agree with you. All of this timing is awfully suspicious. It lines up just perfectly. That doesn't happen very often in nature now, does it? Crazy anarchist, call him Krispy Kreme Donut, the hack. Chris, the hacker. Swamp Donkey again? Aliens tried to abduct Chris Christie, but their anti-gravity beam wasn't strong enough to pick him up. Yeah, imagine how many meals those cannibalistic aliens would have had if they could only have lifted him into the flying saucer. Yeah, no, again, there are no aliens visiting Earth, but they are out there. There probably are a couple that are advanced enough to be aware of our presence. I don't understand why they would want to come to Earth. They probably can't get near it without potentially contaminating themselves with pollen and viruses and shit. So if they're smart, they'll do what we hope to do and poke the bear. Oh, you found an inhabited planet. First thing humans would want to do, suicidal apes as they are, is visit it. Oh, we'll go down. We'll convince them of our God. We'll start trade with them and diplomacy. Oh, shit, we eradicated them all and they eradicated us. Oh, back to square one. Next Copper Age begins. Next news story. Now, this is an opinion piece by Nolt. Donald Trump breaks CNN. CEO Chris Licht is out. This is now old news. I'm just putting this here to point something out, as I did the other day. Chris Licht was not kicked out because Donald Trump went on a town hall. While it would be funny to Donald Trump, and while it'd be hilarious and uproarious to me and probably most of you, if Donald Trump's mere presence on CNN caused the network to collapse to the point where they fired their CEO, that's not actually what happened. If you look back at their viewership, their engagement, etc., for some years now, CNN went from being a fairly high-rated network, 10 years ago, to really fucking themselves. The problem is that because of the hyper-politicized political climate, you have two things at play that screw CNN. Number one, as far as cable goes, Fox and MSNBC both diverged more. And not so much with Fox now in the TDS suffering era, but before it was like, Fox defends conservatism, even FUD-servatism, occasionally lets a populist on board like Matt Gaetz or Lauren Boebert. And then MSNBC, they hire Joy Reid. They go way off into left field. CNN was stuck in the middle trying to play the fence rider. The problem is that the people increasingly don't want that. They want extremism. And then you've got the second problem. As we see with Tucker Carlson screwing Fox News in the ratings department with one fucking goddamn Twitter episode, by the way, I believe following up with another one earlier today, the internet is completely destroying these groups. They've been suffering for years now. Trump did not destroy CNN, again, much as though I'd love to give him hilarious credit for that and chuckle along with him. And I'm sure that when Trump sees these stories, he's elated by the fact that people are saying that he crippled CNN just by being on the network for an hour and a half. But that's not the case. They are way behind Fox. They're way behind MSNBC. They're a tertiary network. They're not even a secondary one at this point. CNN exists because airports exist. That's basically the truth. Sparky, Zelensky may be ethnically Jewish, but supposedly the troublesome Austrian German Army World War I corporal was too. Yeah, they also say Hitler had one ball. Mostly the idea of fear cake is believable. The idea that Adolf liked to have a nut and fruit cake made every night, and then he'd sneak out of his room at like 1 a.m. and he'd go and he'd gorge himself on cake and then creep back into his room. Funny story. Yeah, slightly plausible. That one has more evidence for it than the ethnically Jewish one does. Seth and Wolf, are all the plants back from vacationism? There are a couple still out there. I'm thinking of putting them all out there to soak them down really well with fertilizer, though. Lapse of apathy. My late grandfather used to call Chris Christie fat fuck, and he lived in New Jersey. I still call him that. I think that your late grandfather agrees with the vast corpus of the population. Cam Benson, about to go in for my 15-hour shift of the week, so take my overtime money. Jesus, you gotta sleep sometime. Make yourself some spicy curried food. That'll keep you going. Then grab yourself a goddamn energy drink. I was going to include a news story about how taurine can delay the aging process, according to new research. And I'm like, well, I'm never going to die. You're going to be stuck with me forever. You'll be all shitting in your depends, sending me super chats, and I'll be sitting there like I'm not a day over 40, I suppose, based on my energy drink count. Let's see. By the way, please send no more super chats because I got one more story to go through. It is an important one. It's not as important as the first two of the day, but I did want to talk about it because Tim Pool was weighing in on it, actually, the other day. Aaron Nelson, we need to form an actual A-team and go get Assange. Yeah, Assange should be pardoned. Hopefully Trump does that when reelected. Oliver Smith, watch the documentary Moment of Contact 2022 and tell me they haven't been here. Love your work. Clank. No, there haven't been aliens on Earth. People saw animals and shit, and that's how they developed their mythology. And they used a lot of drugs. I believe in the stoned ape theory more than anything else. I've talked about before the possibility of visitation to Earth in thousands of years ago. There are some reasons to speculate it's possible, but there are also natural terrestrial explanations as well. I'd like that to be the case. I hope that we're bioengineered by aliens that have since gone off to the dark side of the moon to wait until we're at the proper level of development. I just don't think that's true, unfortunately. The next news story and the final one, Trump and DeSantis camps trade blows over AI-generated images of ex-president hugging Fauci. The DeSantis campaign shared AI-generated images depicting Trump doing so. Yes, and Tim Pool weighed on this the other day, and I responded to it, and here's my response. The idea that the DeSantis campaign is now defunct, you shouldn't support it, I agree with. I will be supporting Trump wholeheartedly. There is no alternative at this time for me. It's impossible to parse myself off of supporting Trump because now I understand with the level the deep state is abusing him, I know that he's my man. You don't get that many evildoers and corrupt assholes on your bad side unless you're doing something that is good. So I will be supporting Trump. I will point out, however, that castigating the DeSantis campaign for using AI images of Trump hugging Fauci as part of their campaign, it's disingenuous. Is it underhanded? Yeah, a little bit. Is it misleading? Yeah, okay, sure. Although the average person, I think looking at an image generated by AI can still tell the difference between that and a real image. That may be true. But Donald Trump did open up his campaign attacking Joe Biden with AI images, now didn't he? Yes, he did. His very first mainline campaign video that wasn't him talking, the first real campaign ad that wasn't him talking about his platform and simply sitting in front of a camera, was a slew of AI-generated images showing what the United States would be like if Joe Biden was reselected, with riots and people suffering and stuff like that. So I don't see DeSantis, in my mind, disqualified himself with HB 269, as well as with his poor reaction to the first Trump indictment and now the second one. He's made a series of blunders. His launch did not get off to a good start. It was a novel idea. It was a good idea. I said it at the time. I give him credit for the idea, launching on Twitter, of course, with Elon Musk, Twitter circles. That's fine. But you flubbed it. Twitter flubbed it as well. And I'll say that plain and simple. AI is going to be used more and more within campaign ads, and we can't castigate everyone that does that. We'd have to criticize everyone. I guarantee every campaign before the end that has the money to do so and the technological skills. So you probably won't see it from Williamson. You probably won't see it from Asa Hutchinson. Most campaigns will engage in AI usage because it's efficient, it's easy, it's something novel, and it gets them attention. Well, Ron DeSantis got attention for his campaign by putting out these AI images, did he not? Well, he doesn't get nearly enough attention. Otherwise, the news cycle is nothing but Trump because DeSantis is now sub 20. Of course, you're going to throw a Hail Mary if you have to once in a while. I'm not going to rule out DeSantis for that, though, because Trump has already done that. I rule DeSantis out because it is clear, it is evident to me in every way, shape, and possible form at this point that Trump really will walk the walk. He is the only one they are genuinely terrified of. All of the evildoers of society are afraid of Donald Trump. Well, there you have it. I don't like the evildoers in society. I don't like globalism. I don't like the corrupt people that run everything into the ground and sell my nation downriver. I don't like them very much. So yeah, the person that they're all pissed off at uniquely to the exclusion of even talking about anyone else half the time, I think I found my candidate. VW. Lovecraft probably right about humanity as an accident. Possible. Shaker Silver. Trump's AI images were clearly hypothetical. DeSantis posed as fake proof to slam Trump on Fauci, showing weakness in the position and unseriousness. Yes, but it was immediately fact-checked, including by the legacy media that dogpiled him. So it was a loss for him. But again, he's done other things that are disqualifying, in my opinion. And Trump is so eminently qualified that there's no chance of me getting off the Trump train at this point. I don't care if that Trump train drives into a brick wall. You'd be better off doing that than going with the uniparty system that's going to sell us downriver and destroy our republic anyway. So So yeah, as far as that goes, that is number 5 or 6 on my list of importance for reasons I won't be supporting DeSantis. As far as Tim Pool, I appreciate his opinion. I just think I don't agree with it because, I mean, you should have already disqualified DeSantis over HB 269 because of the First Amendment problems with that particular bill. Felony charges for anyone that distributes literature in an improper manner on private or, in some cases, by the way, and this is glossed over, public property if it contains anything that could be conceived of as objectionable in any way. How wonderful. Free speech advocate. Aquafan, DeSantis mixed AI images with real images and labeled them real-life Trump. There's a difference between saying this is a possible future and this is real history. I've soured on DeSantis. Noted and agreed with, but again, the AI wars have already begun. It's impossible to put the genie back in the bottle. Again, please do not send more super chats. I hear that the child is getting rambunctious upstairs. Adherent of Lady Columbia, tell me if this is just psychologizing, but is monarchism of any form a form of mental childishness, coddling to a person that will be protective, an idealized figure that will guard them in all manners? Yes, I would say monarchism is infantile in nature. Although these days, the average monarchy is defanged. They're effectively figureheads. Like here in the Netherlands, their king doesn't really have any power. He goes to public events, occasionally makes a speech, and he does business deals and stuff. Well, that's only a monarch in name at that point. Bitty Beastly, bro, say Lovecraft's name, cat's name real quick. Yeah, let me get myself banned off of YouTube. Irony is I can say that on Rumble, and have. Yes, N-word was the name of H.P. Lovecraft's cat. He was notoriously racist even by the standards of his era, to the point where there were people in conservative magazine circles that he openly milled around with, and he wrote for them and did editing and stuff, that effectively they're like, hey, you might want to calm down with the racism. Back over 100 years ago, H.P. Lovecraft was a massive goddamn bigot. And we're just going to use the term because in that particular sense, it actually applies, given some of his poetry on the subject. Anyway, yeah, I'm going to go offline now. I will see you all next week. The baby is starting to chuff up there. Very enjoyable live stream. And by the way, almost 3,000 people watching on Rumble. That's almost as many as on YouTube. I thank you for all the super chats. I will be back on Monday. That's about all. Peace out.